We are back, everyone. Premier League Game Week 25 is here. A series of entertaining games are in store, all of which will have a major impact on the table. There's no reason for us to wait, so let's get into it. Here are the predictions. Firstly, Brentford versus Liverpool. Brentford got a huge 3 points in their last game in a 2-0 win away to Wolves, Ivan Toney scoring again. They've lost 3 and won 2 of their last 5 games, but they've all been tight. They've actually scored 10 goals in those games, a very impressive stat. Meanwhile, Liverpool bounced back from their defeat against Arsenal by winning 3-1 at Anfield against Burnley. But Burnley weren't without their chances, and Liverpool were lucky some big chances were squandered by the away team. And Trent Alexander-Arnold is injured once more for the Reds. Nonetheless, I see Klopp's men being victorious on the road, winning 2-1. Burnley versus Arsenal. Arsenal have been on fire, beating Liverpool in a huge title race clash and dominating West Ham 6-0 at the Olympic Stadium. Burnley are second from bottom and joint on points with last place Sheffield United. In the league, they've had 17 defeats this season and haven't won in their last 11 games in all competitions. And I see this game ending once again in Arsenal dominating, winning 3-0 and continuing their title pursuit. Fulham versus Aston Villa. Fulham sit 12th in the table and were victorious 3-1 in their last game against Bournemouth. However, that is their only win in the league in 2024. Meanwhile, Unai Emery's Villa have dropped out of the top 4 after their recent poor form. After Villa Park seemed to be like a fortress for so long, they've recently constantly suffered defeats at home, most recently 2-1 to Manchester United. But the fact is, we've seen this Villa side and the quality they have, and I feel eventually they've surely got to return to picking up another win. I see that happening this weekend, with Fulham being defeated 3-1 at Craven Cottage. Newcastle versus Bournemouth. Newcastle are undefeated in their last 4 and hope to slowly climb the table. Whilst for the Cherries, their form has been up and down, 1 win, 2 draws and 2 defeats in their last 5. Despite their recent wins, Newcastle's games have all been tight, 2-3 versus Forest, 4-4 versus Luton for example, conceding 10 goals in only 5 games. I see this game ending all equal, Newcastle drawing 2-2 at home. Nottingham Forest versus West Ham. Both teams will be very unhappy after their last game in the league. Forest fought hard against Newcastle, only to lose 2-3 and get no points out of a tough performance. They've not won in their last 4 and sit only 2 points off the relegation places. Meanwhile, the Hammers were humiliated at home 6-0 by Arsenal. It was arguably their worst ever defeat at the Olympic Stadium, and tons of fans were seen leaving the stadium well before the full-time whistle. Forest and West Ham both have not won a league game in 2024. It's clear to see the two teams and their fans will be unhappy coming into this game, but I see West Ham picking up a huge away win, 2-0, to add to Forest's woes. Spurs versus Wolves. Spurs have superbly soared into the top 4, being undefeated in their last 5 league games. They are certainly finding their form, and it's thanks to the return of key players like Maddison, and now their captain, Son, is also back after the Asian Cup. Wolves have shown they have a lot of fight in them, winning 3-2 at the Bridge versus Chelsea and battling Man United in a tight game which they barely lost 4-3. But their last game must have frustrated them as they lost 2-0 at home to Brentford. The last time these teams met, Spurs lost 2-1 after conceding twice in injury time, an extremely irritating result. However, this time it's a different Spurs team, an in-form Spurs team, and I see them winning 2-0 at home. Manchester City versus Chelsea. City only had 1 win in 6 league games before they played in the Club World Cup. But since then, they've won all of their last 6, scoring 16 goals in those matches. Don't write off Chelsea though. They've won their last 2 games 3-1 and hope to rise up the table. And the man who's been at the heart of their team, the former City youngster, Cole Palmer. He's had 10 goals and 6 assists in the Premier League this season and is the man keeping many Chelsea fans' hopes alive. But Chelsea still sit 10th in the table and their form is far from solid. Huge defeats to Liverpool and Wolves recently. Nonetheless, I think Chelsea might hold their own and fight to take a point at the Etihad in a 2-2 draw and put a stop to Manchester City's winning run. Sheffield United versus Brighton. The Blades still sit bottom of the league, but now only on goal difference after a 3-1 win away to Luton. It's only their 3rd win this season, and it was much needed. They are still 7 points off safety. Meanwhile, Brighton will want to bounce back after Spurs beat them at the death, Brendan Johnson scoring the winner 6 minutes into injury time. They currently sit 9th on 35 points. The two teams actually met near the end of January in the FA Cup, where Sheffield United were beaten 2-5 at home. However, when they played at the Amex in November, it ended 1-1, with Brighton ending the game with 10 men. In the end this time though, I see Brighton overcoming Sheffield United to win 2-0. Luton versus Manchester United. Luton are out of the relegation places by a single point, but are sure to be unhappy after their last game. They were beaten 3-1 at home by bottom of the table Sheffield United, who only had 2 wins coming into that game and hadn't won away from home all season. Meanwhile, Man United have won their last 3 league games and are now 6 points off the top 4. Rasmus Højlund has really started to find form and things are starting to look up for Erik ten Hag's side. Despite this though, I see Luton Town fighting to survive at Kenilworth Road and getting a huge 1-1 draw against the Red Devils. Finally, Everton versus Crystal Palace. The Toffees are winless in their last 7 league games and sit in the relegation zone currently. Palace are only 5 points ahead of Everton though, and have recently sacked their manager Roy Hodgson. The two teams have already played twice this year, both times in the FA Cup. The first time 0-0 at Selhurst Park, and then a 1-0 win for Everton in the replay at Goodison. And of course, now Hodgson is gone, there's a real wonder, what are we going to see from this Palace side? Will it be an easy result for Everton, who will destroy a disrupted Palace? Or will they look stronger now Roy is gone and take all 3 points on Merseyside? I personally think it will be neither. Both sides will take a point from this game and it will be 1-1 when the full-time whistle blows. But there you go, those are my predictions for the upcoming game week. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you enjoyed, consider liking, subscribing, or doing both. It really benefits me. I hope to see you next time, and until then, take care.